Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to talk about signing up for Obamacare. It's my first time. I have to do it now because I no longer work my big corporate healthcare job and I am embarking on an entrepreneurship journey. When I was employed, I didn't really have to think about it. It came out of my check. I just signed up, but now it's all on me, and it's just something new. It's not bad. It's not good. It's just a new thing that I have to make sure I take care of on my own versus my employer doing so. So when I was working, it was $160 per month. I was able to figure that out through calculating it. Versus if you were to get private insurance for someone in my age demographic, which I am 36, I looked it up, it's gonna be $600, and Obamacare is a big question mark, right? It could be zero, it could be 160, it could be more than that. The process of signing up for Obamacare is you have the open enrollment period, which is from November 1st to December 15th, and I signed up last week sometime, and there are still about 2 more weeks for us to do it. That's one way to sign up for Obamacare, and you can also sign up for Obamacare after you lose your job, which is what I tried to do in August, but it was too much money. The process, once you are in open enrollment, which is right now, is 3-part. The first part is the application for the subsidy, where you just put in your information and they figure out if you qualify for the subsidy. And the subsidy is the magic of Obamacare. It is federal funds that go to you based on different things that I'll talk about in a little bit. So then the second part, once you're done with that part, if you do apply for the subsidy, or even if you don't, they will give you a list of the plans that are available to you, which I found still tended to be less than private healthcare. And you get to see all the plans and you get to look at them and investigate and pick which one you want. And then the third part is that you pay the monthly premium. You have until the end of the year, but it has to be done before the end of December of 2023 for you to have health insurance starting January 2024. So those are the 3 parts. So the first part, where you're doing the application for the subsidy, all it entails is that they're going to get your demographic information. They're going to get how much money you are making. And in my experience, when I did it last week, what they specifically asked me for was how much money am I projected to make in November of 2023. And from that, I'm presuming that they use that to figure out how much I'll make in the whole of 2024. So I put in all those numbers and they figured out what my subsidy is. And then the last part that they asked, which I think is really important to mention, is they asked, do you need help or do you want help with figuring out a plan based on the subsidy that you're going to apply, that you're going to qualify for, is how I interpreted it. And I said yes. They give you an option not to. I don't know why someone would not. The only reason I think that someone would not is if the person who's actually inputting the application information is someone who is like an independent contractor who sets people up from Obamacare. I imagine most people have a list of plans that they already have in mind, or that they know about, or that they have more familiarity about to pick a plan for somebody. But since I am not using a third-party independent person, I decided to get help from them. So I clicked yes, and I think that's important if you're like a novice to this, which I'm a novice, this is my first time. But I think it's important if you are new to this. For me, it gave me peace of mind that they were going to use my information and give me the best price. So that's what I did. So when all of that is done, after step 1 is done, they tell you, you have this much of a subsidy. And my subsidy was $454, right? I'm going to find a way to put this paperwork like on my screen or whatnot. But once you do get into all the plans, you have like a summary of everything that they offer you. In big numbers, they tell you how much it's going to cost a month, because on the face, that's what everybody cares for. And the cheapest that I was able to get was $29.32. I don't think gone are the days where you get $0 per month on Obamacare, but it depends on like how big your family is, how much money y'all make, and if you have disabilities, if you're trying to expand your family, a whole bunch of things. I didn't apply for that, but I'm grateful. $29 for me is way worth it to have like a peace of mind of like something happens to you health-wise, you have health insurance, right? So that's the biggest number you'll see. It gives you the name, and then underneath the number, it talks to you about your deductible. And a deductible is a term that means whatever it is. This one says 0, but let's say it said $500. A deductible means that I have to come up with $500 before my insurance, and pay that out for all my healthcare costs before my insurance will start paying stuff out. So I think of it as it's a deductible from my personal bank account. That's how much is going to be deducted. Once I have deducted $500 in my example, then I shouldn't have to put much more money out. The insurance will kick in. The next one to the right of how much it is going to cost a month is the estimated total yearly cost. And if you hover over it, there's this little underlying link. It'll show a description of it as well. But the estimated total yearly cost is what they define as how much I can expect every year, and that takes into account my premium times 12, because there's 12 months in a year, and other things that I will pay for, like my deductible, like my like my lab fees if I get blood work done, things like that. That's the estimated cost. However, there are some things that you get free anyway, so that's something to take into account. You may not have to pay for as much as you think of. Some things include preventative things. So even if you have to pay to see your general doctor, which we'll get into in a little bit, if it is for your annual exam, which most, if not all, insurance plans allows for you to get an annual checkup, wellness checkup every year, free of cost to see your doctor. The lab work is usually not always free, but to see the doctor, so you can get your vitals done, you can set up lab work, that is free. And that's because insurance companies would rather pay for preventative things versus disease things that cost treatment. It's just economically better for them, so they'll pay for that at least once a year. Some other preventative things that they'll pay for is, like, if you're a woman, for your pap smear, that's important. Anybody who is of childbearing age and even after every woman should get a pap smear every year. Other things include like a flu shot. Everybody should get a flu shot. I'm actually getting mine in a few days. What else? Shingle shot, certain things. If you're over 50, please get a shingle shot. That's very important. This is just putting on my healthcare professional hat. Colonoscopy, if you're 45 years or older. For sure 50, but because people are getting diagnosed with colon cancer, some insurances are paying for it at 45 now, which is awesome. If you're a woman and you're 40 years or older, they'll pay for a mammogram for free. Certain things like that, because again, they'd rather pay for stage 1 cancer versus stage 4. So if you're at certain age things, you should do it. A PCP is a primary care physician. That's where you probably get your annual wellness check to check things like your thyroid, your blood sugar, your blood pressure, etc. Things like that. Underneath is called the out-of-pocket maximum, and that is what the insurance says you have to pay, and then if you meet that, you don't have to pay anything more throughout the year. So imagine, like, if you have a large family, mom, dad, or dad and dad, mom and mom, and a couple kids, that's an important number when you're thinking about financing things, and like which one to pick, because there's a lot more people in your family. At the top, there's this thing called the rating, where you'll see up to 5 stars that your plan can have. For us on the recipient side, I don't put too much stock in it, because I know on the business side, this is all between insurance companies and the healthcare facilities and the providers. It's a way, supposedly, air quotes, supposedly, to keep providers making the best decisions for their patients. And if they do, they tend to have better stars, higher stars, and that means it's a better plan because they are more of an evidence-based plan, and they follow evidence-based medicine. But for practicality purposes, at least for me, that wasn't the most important. What I was looking for is, like, do I get my doctors, and how much will I have to pay out of pocket? So when I got the whole list, there were 3 plans. The first one was the cheapest, but it didn't have my doctors. And that was another cool thing about the part 2 of the application process, because once you know your subsidy and they're like, okay, we're going to show you the plans, they ask you, do you have particular doctors that you want to see are covered? And I did, so I put in 3 of my doctors, and when you get your results, they show you everything. So plan 1 was the cheapest, but it didn't have my doctors. Plan 2 had my doctors, but it had a deductible, and it wasn't a large deductible, but I said, okay, let's see if we can do better. And then plan 3 had all my doctors, no deductible, but it was $5 more. So at that point, it's like, okay, it's only $5 more. 5 times 12 is 60. The deductible was 100. And my math, I was like, I'm still saving $40 at minimum, right? So I'm like, okay, let's see. That wasn't the determining factor, but I'm like, if I do some more investigating and I like what I see, then I'm gonna go with the one that's a little bit more and I don't have to pay the deductible. So then if you go a little bit further down for each plan, it talks about like how much you pay for the different types of visits. And then lastly, it shows the doctors. And also you can put in medicine if you're on particular medicine, which, you know, if you're on particular blood pressure medicine or diabetes medicine, you can put it in to see if the plan covers it. Because for some people to take a lot of medicine, that's really important. Thank God I don't take a lot of medicine, so that wasn't really a thing for me. But like for the first plan, on the face, it looks good. This is the one that had the low monthly premium that was like $20-something a month. For my primary care visit, it'd be no charge. For a specialist, $5. Urgent care, $35. Emergency, 40%. And mental health, $10. And generic drugs, $30. And I'm like, okay, that's not bad. I mean, I didn't have anything to compare it to. But the plan that I did like, for primary care, there was no charge. Specialist care was $25, which was more. So it's like, oh, is that good? But it just depends on what you care about. What I cared about is that 40% in the original plan for the emergency room. I've been to an emergency room and that thing cost me $10,000 out of cost. And I paid 20%. This was a long time ago with my first job, but that 20% was $2,000. So that means just going to the emergency room for one day was $10,000. With inflation, it's probably 15 now. So with the first plan, do I want to spend 40% of $15,000, or with the plan that I was looking at, that was $45 more and didn't have the deductible, I would at max pay $400. $400 is a lot cheaper than 40% of $15,000. That's why I wanted to illuminate this video, just in case someone is interested, because those are the little nuances you have to think about. The percentage things are kind of tricky. Overall, you want what they call copay versus co-insurance. Copay is the amount that they give you. Like $400 is a copay that you have to pay. But the percentage, that's co-insurance. You pay a percentage of the overall cost. And a lot of things are more expensive. Let's say for surgery, if it's 20% of the surgery is going to be $15,000 to $20,000 too. That's something that you have to be prepared for to pay out of pocket. So ultimately, those are the things that were important to me. If you check at the bottom right of every plan, they have a button where it says you can compare plans. And that's what I did for those 3 plans. And it allows you to see it side by side. So side by side, again, I had one that was for 23 or 20 something, 45 something, and 39 something. I'll say that. But looking a little bit closer, which is really important because the devil is in the details, that cheap plan had a $600 deductible. It also was the most out of pocket of all of them, $3,000. I mean, they're relatively all $3,000, but still, just because it's cheaper every month doesn't mean it's the best plan for you. Sometimes spending a little bit more saves you in the end, especially if you know what's important to you. So the doctors were important to me, and saving the most money I could was the second thing most important to me. The $45 one has $0 deductible, and the estimated yearly cost was in the middle. It wasn't even the cheapest, but it was in the middle. Then you have the one that was in the middle that had the $100 deductible. So I say all of this to say that the side-to-side comparison plan thing that they have was really helpful because it gives you a visual of what's going on. And I will say that this confirmed what I was already leaning to, which is I was going to take the $45 plan. Now I have to do the third part, which is pay for it. And you don't have to pay for it immediately. You have until the end of December, and they send you emails and they send you stuff in the mail about that particular insurance company that you end up picking, whether it's Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare, Oscar, Leon, whatever it is, then they will send you like a welcome email, blah, 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 sign up, get your insurance card, blah, 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 make your payment. And that's what they're emailing me about now. Like, girl, we need your payment and y'all are going to get it. Don't worry. But yeah, that was my experience. I'm super, super grateful to have Obamacare because I just realized it's a privilege to have healthcare, and there are a significant amount of people that die earlier than they need to because they don't. That's the worst case scenario, but it's the truth. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it right now. I hope this was helpful. If you have any comments about like how your experience was, please let me know, and I will see y'all next week. Talk to you later.